This is the Alesis MMT-8 sequencer from the late 80s. This was the first sequencer I owned. I used it to bits. I knew it inside out, and I still have a great love for this sequencer. And I'm not alone. This is the RK-008 from RetroKits, and this is actually a mini MMT-8 in 2023. And it's quite good actually. Let's check it out. And I appreciate the personal message when I fired it up for the first time, so thanks guys. And this is truly a micro version of the MMT-8. And the way the buttons are labeled and the layout in general reminds me a lot of the MMT-8, as you can see below the RK-008 here. It runs on Nokia 4C or 5C LiPo batteries. I run it on USB power here, and it can also charge the battery through the USB power. In terms of memory, we have 16 songs, and each song can be made up to 100 parts. And each part has 8 tracks you can record MIDI data on. So let's test it. And I'm not a groove-oriented musician at all. I make songs, structured songs with verses, pre-choruses, choruses, etc. So I just wanted to record a few tracks and see how I can use this as a tool for fleshing out arrangements and songwriting. So let's track enable track 1, and here we go. You have 2 MIDI outs and 2 MIDI ins at the back of the RK-008 on mini jacks, so you'll need some adapters provided in the pack, which I got. To hook up your MIDI gear. I'm using the Prophet X here as the pad machine. I also have a Kawai K3 in the loop here and the Alesis 2400 as well. So that track's in the can, and just like on the MMT-8, if I record more than the number of beats I wanted, I have to go back and edit the track or part length because I want this to loop after 64 bars. I will not do any quantize on this pad sound. I never do that for pad sounds, but I will quantize the next track, track number 2, MIDI channel 2, a string sound from the Kawai K3M. And in the meantime, I've hooked up the Alesis 2400 so it can do some kick drums slaved to the RK-008. I hear my timing is a little off here, so I will definitely quantize this to 16ths, or I'll set it to 16ths. These quantize settings here are non-destructive, so you can always go back afterwards and change the quantize settings if you want to, which is nice. So by pressing the record button again on the 008, I commit that recording to memory. And when you do use a quantize setting on a track, you can see a little bit of graphics in the display, which tells you that you have quantize enabled on that track. So let's record on track 3, MIDI channel 3, some bass. And again, this will be quantized to 16ths. And the bass here is coming from my TAL volume number 3, samples of the Roland Jupiter 8. And this time I'll also quantize the note length to 16ths, not just the timing. And now comes the fun part, just like on the MMT-8, when I have recorded a part I like with some chords and synths and bass, etc. I'll copy those parts and maybe delete the bass in one part, so I can have one part almost the same but without the bass. And I'll record a intro part. And after I've made all the different parts, erased track from parts and shifted things around a little bit, I'll go into songstep mode, the song mode on the 008, and arrange these parts into a song. Very old school, just like on the MMT-8. And I have to say that even if this is a very small form factor and the layout and buttons are a little bit different here and there, I really get the MMT-8 vibe from working with this. So here I am in song mode, the song step mode, and I'll just arrange the different parts in the sequence I want them to be played back in song mode. So I have 3 parts going so far, a intro part that you never saw me record. I have the part with the pad, strings and bass, and I have the same part without the bass. And this is now all arranged in song step mode, so let's hear it. Well, some final thoughts. The build quality is excellent. It's small but solid, and the tactile feel, the response of the buttons are exceptionally good. The display is bright and clear. It's way too small for my liking, of course, but the form factor, the size, well, it can't be much bigger. The mini jacks at the back, it's really not what I like either. I like big, chunky DIN MIDI ports, but again, it is what it is in terms of size. It can do pretty much everything that the MMT can do. I would have liked to have note editing on this in terms of macro editing, shifting things around, etc. You can't do that, but maybe a future firmware upgrade will see to that. I don't know. And if I was doing a short MIDI live set, I could definitely see myself using this instead of the real MMT-8, especially since my original MMT-8 now has very sluggish response in the buttons, etc. They're very sticky now, so this is a much better solution as it's very snappy to use in terms of button response, etc. So congrats to RetroKits for making this, and I'll leave a link for you in the video description if you want to check out more. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.